Proverbs 1 serves as an introduction to the book of Proverbs, written primarily by King Solomon. This chapter establishes the purpose of the book, to impart wisdom, discipline, and understanding. It emphasizes the importance of fearing the Lord as the foundation of knowledge and warns against the influence of sinners. Solomon instructs the reader, particularly the young, to heed parental guidance and avoid the traps of wicked men who seek to entice them into evil deeds. The chapter concludes with a personification of wisdom, calling out in public places, offering counsel and warning of the consequences of rejecting knowledge. Ultimately, those who embrace wisdom will dwell in security, while those who ignore it will suffer destruction. Proverbs 1:1-7. The book of Proverbs begins with its purpose, stating that it contains the wisdom of Solomon, son of David, king of Israel. The goal is to provide instruction in wisdom, discipline, and understanding. It offers guidance to the simple, knowledge to the young, and discernment to the wise. A wise person will listen and grow in understanding, while the prudent will gain guidance. The Proverbs reveal hidden truths, parables, and the words of the wise. The foundation of all knowledge and wisdom is the fear of the Lord, but fools despise wisdom and discipline. Proverbs 1:8-9. Solomon urges children to listen to the instruction of their fathers and not forsake their mother's teaching. These lessons are valuable, like a graceful ornament on one's head and a necklace adorning the neck. They signify honor, wisdom, and a life lived in righteousness. Proverbs 1:10-19. A warning is given against joining with sinners who entice others to do evil. They may promise wealth and easy gain by harming the innocent, lying in wait to shed blood. However, their actions lead to destruction, for they set a trap that ultimately ensnares themselves. Greedy and violent ways bring ruin upon those who pursue them. Proverbs 1:20-23. Wisdom is personified as a woman who calls out in the streets, raising her voice in the public square, at busy intersections, and at the city gates. She asks how long the simple will love their simplicity, how long mockers will delight in mockery, and how long fools will hate knowledge. She offers correction and promises to pour out her spirit on those who turn to her, making her words known. Proverbs 1:24-27. Wisdom laments that despite calling out, many refuse to listen and reject her counsel. Because they disregard her warnings and corrections, calamity will strike them. Disaster will come suddenly like a storm, bringing terror and distress upon those who ignored wisdom's call. Proverbs 1:28-31. At that time, people will cry out for wisdom, but she will not answer because they despise knowledge and refuse to fear the Lord. They rejected counsel and did not accept correction, so they will suffer the consequences of their choices. They will be filled with the fruit of their own ways, left to their own devices, reaping what they have sown. Proverbs 1:32-33. The complacency of the foolish and their rejection of wisdom will ultimately destroy them. However, those who listen to wisdom will dwell securely, free from fear and harm. They will have peace and confidence, resting in the safety that wisdom provides.
Proverbs 2 emphasizes the value of seeking wisdom and understanding. Solomon urges his son to diligently pursue wisdom as one would search for silver or hidden treasure. By doing so, he will come to understand the fear of the Lord and find the knowledge of God. Wisdom comes from the Lord, and he grants understanding to the upright. Those who follow the path of wisdom will be protected, while those who engage in wickedness will face destruction. The chapter contrasts the paths of the righteous and the wicked, concluding that only those who walk in wisdom will remain in the land, while the wicked will be cut off. Proverbs 2:1-5. Solomon urges his son to receive his words and store up his commandments. If he listens attentively to wisdom and applies his heart to understanding, if he calls out for insight and seeks wisdom as if searching for hidden treasure, he will come to understand the fear of the Lord and discover the knowledge of God. Proverbs 2:6-8. Wisdom is a gift from God, and from his mouth come knowledge and understanding. He provides wisdom for the upright, acting as a shield to those who walk in integrity. He guards the paths of justice and watches over the way of his faithful followers. Proverbs 2:9-11. By seeking wisdom, one will gain an understanding of righteousness, justice, and every good path. Wisdom will enter the heart, and knowledge will be pleasant to the soul. Discretion and understanding will guard and protect those who embrace them. Proverbs 2:12-15. Wisdom delivers a person from the ways of evil and from those who speak perversely. It rescues from people who have abandoned the path of righteousness to walk in darkness, delighting in doing wrong and rejoicing in wickedness. Their ways are crooked, and their paths are deceitful. Proverbs 2:16-19. Wisdom also saves from the immoral woman, the seductress who flatters with her words. She has abandoned the husband of her youth and forgotten the covenant she made before God. Her house leads to death, and those who enter her path do not return or find the way of life. Proverbs 2:20-22. By following wisdom, one will walk in the way of the righteous and remain on the path of the just. The upright will dwell in the land, and those who live with integrity will remain in it. However, the wicked will be cut off, and those who act treacherously will be uprooted.
Proverbs 3 encourages trusting in the Lord and living by his wisdom. Solomon urges his son to keep God's commands, which bring long life and peace. He highlights the importance of trusting in the Lord with all one's heart rather than relying on human understanding. Wisdom brings prosperity, health, and guidance. The chapter also warns against arrogance, encourages generosity, and stresses the benefits of discipline from God. Wisdom is described as more valuable than wealth, leading to a life of security and blessing. The chapter concludes with a call to kindness, honesty, and righteousness, as God blesses the upright but opposes the wicked. Proverbs 3:1-4. Solomon advises his son not to forget his teachings, but to keep God's commandments in his heart, for they will bring a long and peaceful life. He encourages kindness and faithfulness, saying they should be written on the heart like an ornament. Doing so will bring favor and good reputation before God and people. Proverbs 3:5-6. One of the most well-known passages in the Bible, these verses urge trust in the Lord with all one's heart and to avoid leaning on personal understanding. By acknowledging God in all ways, he will make the path straight and clear. Proverbs 3 verse 7-8. A warning is given against arrogance. One should not consider themselves wise in their own eyes, but should fear the Lord and turn away from evil. Doing so brings health and strength to the body. Proverbs 3:9-10. Solomon encourages honoring the Lord with wealth and the first fruits of all income. By doing so, one's barns will be filled abundantly, and their vats will overflow with new wine. Proverbs 3 verse 11-12. God's discipline is compared to a father's correction, emphasizing that the Lord corrects those he loves. Though discipline may be difficult, it is a sign of God's care and love. Proverbs 3:13-18. Wisdom is described as more valuable than silver, gold, or jewels. Proverbs 3:13-18. Wisdom is described as more valuable than silver, gold, or jewels. Those who find wisdom and understanding are truly blessed because wisdom leads to a long and peaceful life. Wisdom is a tree of life to those who embrace her, bringing happiness and fulfillment. Proverbs 3:19-20. Solomon reflects on God's wisdom in creation. The Lord founded the earth with wisdom, established the heavens with understanding, and caused the waters to flow and the clouds to bring rain. Proverbs 3:20-26. Solomon urges his son to hold on to wisdom and discretion, for they bring life and safety. Wisdom leads to peaceful sleep, removes fear, and provides confidence in God's protection, ensuring security even in troubling times. Proverbs 3:27-30. A call to kindness and integrity. These verses instruct not to withhold good from those who deserve it when it is within one's power to help. One should not delay in doing good for a neighbor or plot harm against them. It is also advised not to falsely accuse someone who has done no harm. Proverbs 3:31-35. A warning is given against envying the violent or choosing their ways. The Lord detests the wicked, but blesses the righteous. He opposes the proud and gives grace to the humble. The wise inherit honor, while fools receive disgrace.
Proverbs 4 emphasizes the value of wisdom and the importance of holding on to righteous instruction. Solomon recalls the teachings of his father, urging his son to embrace wisdom and understanding. He highlights the lifelong benefits of wisdom, which leads to security, protection, and honor. The chapter contrasts the way of the righteous, which shines brighter each day, with the way of the wicked, which is full of darkness and stumbling. Solomon encourages his son to guard his heart, watch his words, and keep his eyes and feet on the right path, avoiding evil at all costs. Proverbs 4:1-4. Solomon calls on his children to listen to his instruction and gain understanding. He recalls his own upbringing, emphasizing how his father taught him to value wisdom, keep his commandments, and live. Proverbs 4:5-9. He urges his son to seek wisdom above all else, never forsaking it. By doing so, wisdom will protect, exalt, and honor him, bringing a crown of grace and glory upon his head. Proverbs 4:10-13. Solomon promises that following his instructions will lead to a long life. Wisdom will guide his steps, preventing stumbling. He advises his son to hold tightly to instruction and never let it go, for it is the key to life. Proverbs 4:14-17. A warning is given against the path of the wicked. Solomon urges his son to avoid it entirely, not even setting foot on it. The wicked are restless until they commit evil, feeding on sin and violence. Proverbs 4:18-19. A contrast is drawn between the righteous and the wicked. The path of the righteous is like the morning sun shining ever brighter. The way of the wicked, however, is complete darkness, causing them to stumble without knowing why. Proverbs 4:20-22. Solomon again encourages his son to listen to his words and keep them close. His teachings bring life and healing to those who embrace them. Proverbs 4:23-27. A final warning. Guard your heart above all else, for it determines the course of life. Watch your words. Keep your eyes fixed on the right path and ensure your steps remain firm. Do not turn to the right or left, but stay on the path of righteousness. Proverbs 5 focuses on the dangers of adultery and the importance of marital faithfulness. Solomon warns his son about the enticing words of an adulterous woman, which lead to destruction and regret. He describes how the unfaithful man loses honor, wealth, and ultimately his life. Instead, he encourages his son to be faithful to his own wife, delighting in her love. The chapter concludes with a reminder that God sees all actions, and the wicked will be ensnared by their own sins. Proverbs 5:1-6. Solomon urges his son to pay attention to wisdom and understanding so he may avoid the trap of an adulterous woman. Her lips drip with honey, and her words are smoother than oil, but in the end she is bitter as poison, leading to death and destruction. Her ways are unstable, and she does not consider the path of life. Proverbs 5:7-14. A strong warning is given to stay far from the adulterous woman's door. Engaging in immorality leads to losing one's honor, wealth, and years to another person. In the end, those who follow this path will be filled with regret, realizing they despised discipline and ignored wise instruction. Proverbs 5:15-20. Solomon advises his son to find satisfaction in his own wife. He uses the imagery of drinking water from one's own well, representing marital faithfulness. A man should rejoice in his wife's love and embrace rather than seeking intimacy with another. Proverbs 5:21-23. The chapter concludes with a reminder that God sees everything. A person's choices are before him, and the wicked will be caught in their own sins. The fool, led astray by his own desires, will perish in his lack of discipline.
Proverbs 6 contains a series of warnings and practical lessons on wise living. Solomon advises against rash financial agreements, urging his son to free himself from such entanglements. He then uses the diligence of the ant to illustrate the importance of hard work and warns against laziness, which leads to poverty. The chapter also highlights behaviors that God detests, including arrogance, deceit, and stirring up conflict. Additionally, Solomon warns against the dangers of adultery, emphasizing the severe consequences for those who engage in it. Proverbs 6:1-5. Solomon warns against making financial pledges for others, cautioning that such actions can lead to being trapped in debt. He advises swift action to free oneself from such obligations, urging humility and persistence in resolving the matter. Proverbs 6:6-11. Using the example of the ant, Solomon teaches the value of diligence and self-discipline. The ant, though without a ruler, works hard to store food for the future. In contrast, laziness leads to sudden poverty, creeping up like a thief. Proverbs 6:12-15. A warning is given about the wicked and deceitful person who spreads discord. Their actions are filled with corruption, lies, and plotting evil. As a result, calamity will strike them suddenly, and their downfall will be beyond recovery. Proverbs 6:16-19. Solomon lists 7 things that the Lord detests: arrogance, lying, shedding innocent blood, wicked scheming, eagerness to do evil, bearing false witness, and stirring up conflict among brethren. These behaviors lead to destruction and are completely opposed to God's righteousness. Proverbs 6:20-23. He instructs his son to hold tightly to his parents' teachings as they serve as guidance and protection throughout life. Wisdom and instruction will act as a lamp, providing light and correction along the path. Proverbs 6:24-29. Solomon warns against adultery, cautioning his son to avoid the seductions of an immoral woman. Giving in to her leads to ruin, much like playing with fire. One cannot escape without being burned. Proverbs 6:30-35. Though a thief may be pitied if he steals out of hunger, he still faces consequences. However, an adulterer destroys himself completely, bringing shame, disgrace, and vengeance upon his life. Unlike theft, which may be repaid, adultery provokes jealousy and wrath that cannot be appeased. Proverbs 7 continues the warning against adultery by vividly illustrating the seduction of a young man by an immoral woman. Solomon urges his son to treasure wisdom and understanding, using them as a safeguard against temptation. He describes how the young man is led astray, ultimately resulting in his destruction. The chapter serves as a cautionary tale, showing the deadly consequences of yielding to lust and emphasizing the need for wisdom and self-control. Proverbs 7:1-5. Solomon urges his son to keep his commandments and treasure his wisdom. He compares wisdom to a sister and understanding to a close relative, both acting as protectors against the seductions of an immoral woman. Proverbs 7:6-9. Solomon tells a story of a young, naive man who wanders near the house of an adulterous woman. He describes how the young man walks foolishly in the evening, unaware of the danger that awaits him. Proverbs 7:10-15. The woman, dressed seductively, approaches the young man with boldness. She flatters him and speaks enticing words, claiming she has made her offerings and is now ready to indulge in pleasure. She tells him she has been seeking him specifically, making him feel special. Proverbs 7:16-20. She describes her luxurious bed and perfumes, inviting him to spend the night in passion. She reassures him that her husband is away on a long journey, implying that there will be no consequences. Proverbs 7:21-23. With persuasive words and smooth speech, she lures him into her trap. The young man follows her, unaware that he is like an ox going to the slaughter. He is walking toward his own destruction, like a bird caught in a snare. Proverbs 7:24-27. Solomon concludes with a warning to listen carefully and avoid this path. Many have fallen into ruin because of such temptations, and her house leads to death, descending into the depths of the grave.
Proverbs 8 personifies wisdom as a woman calling out in public places, urging people to listen and follow her guidance. She offers knowledge, understanding, and righteousness to those who seek her. Wisdom is more valuable than silver, gold, or jewels, as it leads to success, justice, and protection. She was present with God during creation and delights in righteousness. The chapter concludes with a strong encouragement to seek wisdom, as those who find her receive life and favor from the Lord, while those who reject her bring harm upon themselves. Proverbs 8:1-5. Wisdom calls out in public places, raising her voice at the city gates and busy streets. She invites the simple and foolish to gain understanding and encourages them to listen to her words of instruction. Proverbs 8:6-11. Wisdom speaks only truth and righteousness, rejecting wickedness. Her words are more valuable than silver, gold, or precious jewels. She offers knowledge and discernment, which are far more beneficial than material wealth. Proverbs 8:12-16. Wisdom is linked to prudence, knowledge, and discretion. She hates pride, arrogance, evil behavior, and deceit. Wisdom provides sound judgment, strength, and guidance to rulers and leaders, enabling them to govern with justice. Proverbs 8:17-21. Wisdom loves those who seek her early and diligently. She offers riches, honor, and righteousness, bestowing enduring wealth on those who follow her ways. Her rewards are greater than gold and silver, bringing true prosperity. Proverbs 8:22-31. Wisdom was with God from the beginning, before creation. She was present when God established the heavens, the earth, and the seas. She delights in his creation and finds joy in humanity, emphasizing her eternal significance. Proverbs 8:32-36. A final call is made to listen to wisdom and follow her instructions. Those who do so will find life and favor from the Lord, while those who reject her will harm themselves, ultimately leading to death. Proverbs 9 presents two contrasting invitations, one from wisdom and one from folly. Wisdom prepares a feast and invites the simple to gain understanding, leading them to a life of righteousness. In contrast, folly also calls out but offers deception and sin, leading to destruction. The chapter highlights the difference between correcting the wise and the foolish, emphasizing that those who fear the Lord will gain wisdom and live, while those who reject it will suffer consequences. Proverbs 9:1-6. Wisdom builds her house and prepares a feast, setting the table and sending out invitations to the simple. She calls them to leave their foolish ways and walk in the way of understanding, offering nourishment for the soul. Proverbs 9:7-9. A contrast is made between correcting the wise and the foolish. A mocker will reject correction and become hostile, while a wise person will accept instruction and grow in wisdom. The righteous increase in knowledge when they are taught. Proverbs 9:10-12. The foundation of wisdom is the fear of the Lord, and knowledge of the Holy One brings understanding. Wisdom leads to a longer life and personal benefit, but those who choose to mock and reject wisdom will bear the consequences alone. Proverbs 9:13-18. Folly is also personified as a loud, seductive woman who sits at the city gates, calling out to the simple. She offers stolen pleasures, which seem sweet but lead to death. Her house is filled with those who have already descended to the grave, warning against the deadly consequences of following foolishness. Proverbs 10 marks the beginning of Solomon's Proverbs, offering practical wisdom about righteousness and wickedness. The chapter contrasts the behaviors and outcomes of the wise and the foolish, emphasizing the benefits of righteousness, such as life, security, and favor from the Lord, while warning of the destruction that awaits the wicked. Diligence leads to prosperity, while laziness brings poverty. Honest speech and integrity are valued, while lies and deceit lead to ruin. The overarching theme is that wisdom and righteousness lead to life and blessings, while foolishness and wickedness lead to suffering and death. Proverbs 10:1-5. Solomon states that a wise son brings joy to his father, but a foolish son brings grief to his mother. Righteousness brings blessings, while ill-gotten wealth is worthless. Diligence leads to prosperity, while laziness results in hunger and poverty. Proverbs 10:6-11. The righteous receive blessings, while the wicked are covered in violence. A wise person remembers and shares valuable teachings, but a fool speaks destruction. The righteous walk securely, but the wicked will be exposed. Honest speech is a fountain of life, while lies lead to ruin. Proverbs 10:12-14. Hatred stirs up conflict, but love covers all offenses. Wisdom is found in those who are discerning, but fools invite disaster with their reckless speech. Proverbs 10:15-17. Wealth can provide security, but poverty destroys the poor. The wise accept instruction, leading to life, while rejecting correction leads to destruction. Proverbs 10:18-21. A deceitful person hides hatred behind lies, and spreading slander is foolish. Restraining one's speech is wise, while excessive talk leads to sin. The words of the righteous are valuable, but fools perish due to their lack of wisdom. Proverbs 10, verse 22 to 25. The blessing of the Lord brings true wealth without sorrow. A fool delights in wrongdoing, while wisdom brings joy to those who seek it. The wicked will face destruction, while the righteous will stand firm. Proverbs 10, verse 26 to 30. Laziness is as irritating as vinegar on the teeth or smoke in the eyes. The fear of the Lord prolongs life, while the years of the wicked are cut short. The righteous will never be shaken, while the wicked will be uprooted. Proverbs 10, 31 to 32. The mouth of the righteous brings forth wisdom, but the perverse tongue will be cut off. The words of the righteous are pleasing, while the speech of the wicked is corrupt. Proverbs 11 continues the contrast between righteousness and wickedness, emphasizing that integrity, honesty, and humility lead to success, while dishonesty, pride, and selfishness bring destruction. Righteousness delivers people from trouble, whereas wickedness traps the evildoer. Generosity leads to abundance, while greed leads to loss. The chapter also highlights the consequences of one's choices, showing that those who trust in their riches will fall, but the righteous will flourish. Proverbs 11, 1 to 4. God detests dishonest scales, but delights in honest weights. Pride leads to disgrace, while humility brings wisdom. Integrity guides the upright, but deceitfulness destroys the unfaithful. Wealth is useless on the day of judgment, but righteousness delivers from death. Proverbs 11, 5 to 8. The righteousness of the blameless makes their path straight, but the wicked fall by their own wickedness. The righteous are rescued from trouble, while the wicked are trapped by their own misdeeds. Proverbs 11, 9 to 13. The godless destroy their neighbors with their words, but the righteous are saved by knowledge. When the righteous prosper, the city rejoices, but when the wicked perish, there is celebration. A person of integrity keeps confidences, but a gossip spreads secrets. Proverbs 11, 14 to 19. Wise counsel brings victory, but a lack of guidance leads to failure. Kindness benefits oneself, while cruelty harms the doer. Righteousness leads to life, while pursuing evil leads to death. Proverbs 11, 20 to 23. The Lord detests those with perverse hearts, but delights in those with integrity. The wicked will not go unpunished, while the righteous will be rewarded. A beautiful woman without discretion is like a gold ring in a pig's snout. Proverbs 11, 24 to 28. Generosity leads to abundance, while hoarding leads to poverty. Those who refresh others will themselves be refreshed. Trusting in riches leads to downfall, but the righteous will flourish. Proverbs 11, 29 to 31. A person who brings trouble on their family will inherit the wind. The fruit of the righteous is like a tree of life, and those who win souls are wise. The righteous receive their due on earth, and even more so will the wicked and sinners.
Proverbs 12 contrasts the wise and the foolish, highlighting the benefits of righteousness, hard work, and humility. Those who love discipline gain knowledge, while the foolish reject correction. The righteous are established and enjoy the Lord's favor, but the wicked are overthrown. Diligence leads to prosperity, while laziness results in hardship. The chapter also emphasizes the power of words. Truthful speech brings healing and joy, while deceit and lies lead to destruction. Proverbs 12:1-4. Loving discipline leads to knowledge, but hating correction is foolish. The righteous receive the Lord's favor, while the wicked are condemned. A strong foundation is established through righteousness, but the wicked are uprooted. A noble wife is a crown to her husband, while a disgraceful wife weakens him. Proverbs 12:5-8. The thoughts of the righteous lead to justice, but the advice of the wicked is deceitful. Wicked words bring trouble, but the upright are rescued. People are praised for their wisdom, but those with a twisted mind are despised. Proverbs 12:9-12. It is better to live modestly and have sustenance than to pretend to be important while lacking basic needs. The righteous care for their animals, but the wicked are cruel. Hard work yields a good harvest, but pursuing worthless things leads to ruin. Proverbs 12:13-17. The wicked are trapped by their lies, but the righteous escape trouble. Wise words bring joy, while deceitful speech leads to destruction. Truthful witnesses bring justice, while liars spread deceit. Proverbs 12:18-22. Reckless words wound like swords, but wise words bring healing. Truth stands firm, while lies last only for a moment. The righteous avoid trouble, but the wicked are filled with deceit. The Lord detests liars, but delights in the truthful. Proverbs 12:23-28. The wise keep their knowledge to themselves, while fools proclaim their ignorance. Diligence leads to success, while laziness results in slavery. Anxiety weighs the heart down, but a kind word lifts it up. The righteous choose their friends wisely and live securely, while the wicked stray and perish. Proverbs 13 continues the theme of wisdom and folly, emphasizing the rewards of discipline, diligence, and integrity. Wise children listen to instruction, while the foolish reject correction. Hard work leads to prosperity, while laziness results in poverty. Those who walk with the wise become wise, while bad company leads to destruction. The chapter also warns against greed and dishonesty, urging people to be content and seek righteousness. Proverbs 13:1-6. A wise child listens to instruction, while a mocker ignores correction. Wise words bring rewards, but treacherous speech leads to ruin. Laziness results in lack, while diligence brings prosperity. Righteousness protects those who walk in integrity, while wickedness brings downfall. Proverbs 13:7-11. Some pretend to be rich but have nothing, while others live modestly yet have great wealth. The wise avoid trouble, but the foolish invite it. Dishonest wealth fades quickly, but steady work leads to lasting prosperity. Proverbs 13:12-19. Hope deferred makes the heart sick, but a fulfilled desire brings joy. Those who reject instruction face destruction, while the wise are rewarded. Walking with the wise leads to wisdom, but keeping company with fools leads to harm. Proverbs 13:20-25. Good people leave an inheritance for their children, while sinners' wealth is stored for the righteous. Diligence leads to abundance, while injustice brings poverty. The righteous enjoy satisfaction, while the wicked live in scarcity. Proverbs 14 contrasts the wise and the foolish, showing how their choices lead to different outcomes. Wisdom builds a strong foundation, while foolishness leads to destruction. Those who fear the Lord find security, while the wicked face ruin. The chapter also addresses honesty, patience, generosity, and the consequences of pride. Proverbs 14:1-7. A wise woman builds her home, but a foolish one tears it down. The upright walk securely, while the wicked are destroyed. Mockers reject wisdom, but understanding is found among the discerning. Proverbs 14:8-15. The wise think carefully before acting, while fools deceive themselves. The heart knows its own bitterness, and each person will reap what they sow. The way that seems right to a person can lead to death. Proverbs 14:16-24. The wise fear the Lord and turn from evil, while the foolish rush into danger. Patience brings peace, while quick tempers lead to folly. The poor are often despised, but kindness brings honor. Proverbs 14:25-35. A truthful witness saves lives, while lies lead to destruction. Those who fear the Lord have strong confidence, while the wicked will be cut off. Righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a disgrace to any people. Proverbs 15 focuses on the power of words, the importance of discipline, and the consequences of righteousness versus wickedness. Gentle words turn away anger, while harsh words stir up conflict. The Lord watches over all people, rewarding the righteous and punishing the wicked. Humility leads to honor, while pride brings downfall. Proverbs 15:1-7. A gentle answer diffuses anger, while harsh words provoke it. The wise spread knowledge, while the foolish despise instruction. The Lord detests the sacrifices of the wicked, but delights in the prayers of the upright. Proverbs 15:8-15. The Lord sees everything, including the hearts of people. The foolish mock at making amends, while the wise seek reconciliation. A joyful heart brings health, while a crushed spirit dries up the bones. Proverbs 15:16-25. Better is little with the fear of the Lord than great wealth with turmoil. A wise son brings joy to his father, while a foolish one brings grief. The Lord tears down the house of the proud, but establishes the home of the humble. Proverbs 15:26-33. The Lord detests the thoughts of the wicked, but loves pure words. Those who reject discipline despise themselves, while those who heed correction gain understanding. Humility leads to wisdom, and the fear of the Lord is the foundation of knowledge.
Proverbs 16 highlights the sovereignty of God over human plans and the importance of wisdom, righteousness, and humility. People may make their own plans, but ultimately, God directs their steps. Integrity and justice are essential for leadership, and pride leads to destruction. The wise are slow to anger, and self-control is greater than physical strength. Trusting in the Lord brings security and true success. Proverbs 16:1-9. People make plans, but the Lord determines the outcome. A person may think their ways are right, but God examines the heart. Committing plans to the Lord ensures success. The Lord has a purpose for everything, even the wicked, for the day of judgment. Pride is detestable to God and leads to punishment, but mercy and truth atone for sin. Fearing the Lord leads to avoiding evil, and God makes even enemies live at peace with the righteous. While people plan their course, the Lord ultimately establishes their steps. Proverbs 16:10-15. A good king rules with justice, and honest scales are from the Lord. Rulers detest wrongdoing, and those who speak rightly gain their favor. A king's wrath is dangerous, but his favor is life-giving. Proverbs 16:16-22. Wisdom is more valuable than gold, and understanding is better than silver. The wise walk in righteousness, while pride leads to destruction. A humble heart leads to honor, while arrogance brings a fall. Those who trust in the Lord find safety and blessing. Proverbs 16:23-30. A wise heart teaches wisdom, and kind words are sweet like honey, bringing healing. There is a way that seems right, but leads to death. Hard work leads to fulfillment, but idle talk leads to ruin. A violent person stirs up conflict, while a perverse person brings trouble. Proverbs 16:31-33. Gray hair is a crown of glory, gained through righteousness. Self-control is more valuable than physical might. Though people cast lots to make decisions, the Lord determines the outcome. Proverbs 17 focuses on the value of peace, wisdom, and righteousness. It warns against conflict, foolishness, and deceit, while encouraging integrity and discretion. The chapter emphasizes that character is more valuable than wealth, and that a joyful heart leads to a fulfilling life. Proverbs 17:1-7. A peaceful home with little is better than a house filled with feasting and conflict. A wise servant gains favor, while a foolish son brings grief. God tests the hearts of people. Mocking the poor insults their maker, and false speech leads to destruction. Proverbs 17:8-13. Bribes may seem effective, but honesty is more valuable. Love overlooks offenses, while gossip separates close friends. An evil person repays good with harm, leading to disaster. Proverbs 17:14-20. Starting a quarrel is like opening a floodgate. It's better to stop before it escalates. God hates justifying the wicked and condemning the innocent. A foolish child brings grief to their parents, and a friend loves at all times. Proverbs 17:21-28. A fool finds no joy in understanding, and a wicked person stirs up trouble. A cheerful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones. The wise restrain their words, and even a fool seems wise when they remain silent. Proverbs 18 contrasts the speech and actions of the wise and the foolish. It highlights the power of words, the value of wisdom, and the dangers of arrogance and laziness. The chapter also speaks about friendship, integrity, and the consequences of careless speech. Proverbs 18:1-8. A person who isolates themselves rejects wisdom and only seeks their own desires. Fools take no pleasure in understanding, but love to express their opinions. Words can lift or destroy, and gossip is dangerous. Proverbs 18:9-12. A lazy person is as destructive as a troublemaker. The name of the Lord is a strong tower, providing safety to the righteous. The rich trust in their wealth, but pride leads to downfall. Proverbs 18:13-21. Speaking before listening is foolishness. A person's words can bring life or death. A wise person chooses their words carefully, while a fool's words bring ruin. The power of the tongue determines outcomes. Proverbs 18:22-24. Finding a good spouse is a blessing from the Lord. The poor plead for mercy, while the rich answer harshly. A person with many acquaintances may still be alone, but a true friend sticks closer than a brother. Proverbs 19 emphasizes the importance of wisdom, discipline, and integrity. It warns against laziness, foolishness, and dishonesty, while highlighting the rewards of righteousness, generosity, and fearing the Lord. Proverbs 19:1-7. A poor person with integrity is better than a liar. Zeal without knowledge leads to mistakes. A person's own foolishness ruins their life, yet they blame God. Wealth attracts friends, but the poor are abandoned. Proverbs 19:8-14. A person who gains wisdom loves their own soul, and honesty leads to success. A foolish son brings ruin to his father, while a wise spouse is a gift from the Lord. Proverbs 19:15-23. Laziness leads to hunger, and discipline leads to wisdom. A person who listens to instruction gains understanding. The fear of the Lord leads to life, providing security and protection. Proverbs 19:24-29. A lazy person refuses to work and makes excuses. Those who mock authority will be punished, and those who ignore correction will face consequences. Wisdom leads to prosperity, while foolishness leads to destruction.
Proverbs 20 discusses the consequences of foolishness and the rewards of wisdom, emphasizing integrity, hard work, and self-control. It warns against drunkenness, dishonesty, laziness, and impulsive decisions, while highlighting the importance of seeking counsel, righteousness, and patience. Proverbs 20:1-7. Wine leads to mockery, and strong drink causes reckless behavior. Wisdom comes from the Lord, and it is foolish to provoke anger. Hard work and honesty lead to success, while laziness and deceit bring ruin. A righteous person walks with integrity, and their children are blessed. Proverbs 20:8-15. A king discerns truth and justice. People may claim purity, but God examines the heart. Honest business practices are essential, and wisdom is more valuable than riches. Proverbs 20:16-23. It is dangerous to take on another's debt. Dishonest dealings will be exposed, and integrity leads to security. The Lord detests false scales and demands honesty. Proverbs 20:24-30. A person's steps are directed by the Lord. Seeking vengeance is unwise, and patience is key to success. The glory of youth is strength, while gray hair is a sign of wisdom. Proverbs 21 highlights the sovereignty of God over human affairs, stressing the importance of righteousness over empty sacrifices. The chapter contrasts the wise and the foolish, emphasizing justice, humility, and diligence, while warning against pride, dishonesty, and wickedness. Proverbs 21:1-7. The Lord directs a king's heart. Righteousness and justice please God more than sacrifices. The wicked pursue evil, and their plans lead to destruction. Proverbs 21:8-15. The guilty walk a crooked path, but the innocent do what is right. It is better to live in peace than in conflict with a quarrelsome person. Justice brings joy to the righteous, but terror to evildoers. Proverbs 21:16-23. The foolish stray from wisdom and find themselves among the dead. Those who love pleasure become poor, and the wise guard their words to avoid trouble. Proverbs 21:24-31. The arrogant act with pride, but will ultimately fail. No human wisdom or strength can stand against the Lord's plans. Victory comes from God, not from human effort. Proverbs 22 discusses wealth, reputation, discipline, and humility. It highlights the benefits of wisdom, warns against debt, and stresses the importance of raising children with moral instruction. The chapter also warns against associating with angry and dishonest people. Proverbs 22:1-7. A good reputation is more valuable than riches. The rich and poor are both made by the Lord. The prudent avoid danger, and humility leads to honor. Raising children with wisdom ensures they follow the right path. The borrower becomes a servant to the lender. Proverbs 22:8-16. Those who sow injustice will reap calamity. A generous heart is blessed. The Lord brings down the proud, but upholds the righteous. Discipline is necessary for children to avoid foolishness. Proverbs 22:17-25. Listening to wisdom leads to security. A person should avoid making friends with angry or violent individuals, as their ways will become a trap. Proverbs 22:26-29. It is dangerous to co-sign for debts. Hard work leads to standing before kings, while laziness results in failure. Proverbs 23 warns against greed, excessive drinking, and the pursuit of riches. It emphasizes discipline, wisdom, and the dangers of associating with sinners. The chapter also encourages listening to parental instruction and seeking righteousness. Proverbs 23:1-8. Be cautious when dining with rulers, and avoid overindulgence. Wealth is fleeting, and pursuing riches leads to disappointment. Proverbs 23:9-16. A fool despises wisdom, and discipline leads to a bright future. Parents rejoice when their children walk in truth. Proverbs 23:17-28. Do not envy sinners, but trust in the Lord. Avoid excessive drinking, gluttony, and immoral relationships, as they lead to destruction. Proverbs 23:29-35. Excessive drinking brings sorrow, strife, and loss of self-control. Alcohol distorts reality and leads to reckless behavior. The wise avoid its grip.
Proverbs 24 advises against envy of the wicked and emphasizes the value of wisdom and righteousness. It warns of the consequences of laziness, dishonesty, and seeking revenge. The chapter highlights that a righteous person may fall but will rise again, while the wicked will ultimately be destroyed. Proverbs 24:1-7. Do not envy evil people or desire their company, for their hearts plot violence. Wisdom builds a strong house, and knowledge fills it with riches. The wise grow in strength, while fools cannot understand wisdom. Proverbs 24:8-16. Those who plan evil will be despised. If you falter in adversity, your strength is small. Rescue those being led to death, for God knows the heart. Honey is sweet, and so is wisdom. It leads to a future. The righteous may fall 7 times, but will always rise, while the wicked stumble and are destroyed. Proverbs 24:17-22. Do not rejoice when your enemy falls, for the Lord sees all. Do not fret over the wicked, for their future is uncertain. Fear the Lord and honor the king, for rebels will face sudden ruin. Proverbs 24:23-34. A judge should not show favoritism. Honest words are valued, while deceit leads to trouble. Hard work brings prosperity, but laziness leads to poverty, as illustrated by the neglected field of the sluggard. Proverbs 25, compiled by King Hezekiah's scribes, contains wise sayings about leadership, self-control, and good relationships. It encourages humility, patience, and wise speech, while warning against arrogance and excessive indulgence. Proverbs 25:1-7. It is God's glory to conceal matters and a king's honor to search them out. Good leadership requires discernment. Do not exalt yourself in the king's presence. It is better to be lifted up than brought low. Proverbs 25:8-15. Avoid rushing into disputes and handle conflicts wisely. Words spoken at the right time are as valuable as gold. A faithful messenger refreshes the soul, and patience can persuade even rulers. Proverbs 25:16-28. Too much honey makes one sick, just as overindulgence in anything leads to harm. An unreliable person is like a broken tooth. Kindness toward enemies is like heaping burning coals on their heads. A lack of self-control is like a city without walls. Proverbs 26 describes the characteristics of fools, lazy people, and troublemakers. It warns against engaging with fools, relying on the lazy, and those who deceive others. The chapter stresses the importance of wisdom, self-control, and integrity. Proverbs 26, 1-12. Honor does not suit a fool, just as snow does not suit summer. Answering a fool appropriately prevents him from thinking he is wise. A fool repeats his mistakes, like a dog returning to its vomit. Proverbs 26, 13-19. The lazy make ridiculous excuses to avoid work. A person who deceives and then claims it was a joke is dangerous. Proverbs 26, 20-28. Without gossip, conflicts die down. A quarrelsome person fuels strife, and deceptive words conceal evil intentions. The wicked will be caught in their own traps. Proverbs 27 focuses on the value of humility, friendship, and diligence. It advises against boasting, encourages accountability, and highlights the importance of wise decision-making. Proverbs 27, 1-10. Do not boast about tomorrow, for life is unpredictable. A friend's rebuke is better than an enemy's flattery. A satisfied soul ignores honey, while a hungry one finds even bitter food sweet. A good friend is closer than a brother. Proverbs 27, 11-17. The prudent foresee danger and take precautions. A loud blessing early in the morning is irritating. Just as iron sharpens iron, people improve one another. Proverbs 27, 18-27. A faithful worker is rewarded. The heart reflects one's true nature. Know the state of your flocks, for wealth is not permanent. Hard work ensures a prosperous future. Proverbs 28 contrasts the righteous and the wicked, emphasizing the rewards of integrity and the consequences of sin. It highlights the importance of justice, generosity, and humility while warning against greed, arrogance, and corruption. Proverbs 28, 1-7. The wicked flee even when no one pursues, but the righteous are bold as lions. A corrupt land is filled with sin, but wise leaders bring stability. Those who forsake the law praise the wicked, while those who obey it resist them. Proverbs 28, 8-14. Wealth gained by exploitation will be lost. A wise person obeys the law, but the wicked despise it. Concealing sin leads to failure, but confessing and forsaking it brings mercy. Those who fear the Lord find happiness. Proverbs 28, 15-21. A wicked ruler oppresses his people. Honest work leads to prosperity, while greed leads to ruin. Partiality in judgment is wrong, and seeking riches at all costs brings trouble. Proverbs 28, 22-28. A greedy person is blind to their downfall. Trusting in oneself is foolish, while walking in wisdom brings success. Righteous leaders bring stability, while the wicked will fall. Proverbs 29 focuses on the consequences of stubbornness, injustice, and foolishness, while praising wisdom, discipline, and integrity. It warns against uncontrolled anger, flattery, and oppression, while highlighting the blessings of honesty and humility. Proverbs 29, 1-7. A person who ignores correction will suddenly be destroyed. When the righteous rule, people rejoice, but under wicked leadership, they suffer. A wise child brings joy to parents, while a rebellious one brings grief. Proverbs 29, 8-15. Mockers stir up strife, but the wise bring peace. The poor and the oppressor have the Lord in common. He gives light to all. A child left undisciplined brings shame, but discipline leads to wisdom. Proverbs 29, 16-23. When the wicked multiply, sin increases. A person's pride leads to downfall, but humility leads to honor. Keeping one's temper in check brings peace. Proverbs 29, 24-27. The fear of people leads to a trap, but trusting in the Lord brings safety. Justice is upheld by the righteous, while the wicked ignore it. Proverbs 30, attributed to Agur, contains observations about life, wisdom, and the natural world. It emphasizes humility, the dangers of arrogance, and the mysteries of God's creation, while warning against greed and pride. Proverbs 30, 1-6. Agur acknowledges his own lack of wisdom and emphasizes that true knowledge comes from God. His words are pure and trustworthy, and no one should add to them. Proverbs 30, 7-14. Agur asks for two things: honesty and contentment. Greedy people bring ruin upon themselves, and the arrogant despise others. Proverbs 30, 15-23. Four things are never satisfied: the grave, a barren womb, dry land, and fire. The disrespectful and ungrateful will face destruction. Proverbs 30:24-33. 4 small but wise creatures include ants, badgers, locusts, and lizards. Stirring up anger leads to conflict, and self-control is necessary. Proverbs 31 contains advice from King Lemuel, including warnings about reckless living and a detailed description of a virtuous woman. It praises her diligence, kindness, and wisdom, highlighting her role as a blessing to her family and community. Proverbs 31:1-9. King Lemuel's mother warns him against drunkenness and immorality, urging him to defend the rights of the poor and oppressed. Proverbs 31:10-20. A virtuous woman is more valuable than rubies. She works hard, provides for her family, and treats others with kindness. Proverbs 31:21-31. She prepares for the future, speaks with wisdom, and fears the Lord. Her children and husband praise her, and her good deeds will be remembered.